again.
After the tone. Hi, this is Congressman Jim McGovern.
Ah, nobody important. All right, so let's continue with number 11.
If this is not an answering machine, you can press 1 to join us.
All right.
If you get this message in the next 30 minutes, just dial 855.
So plane left an airfield at 9.
Stream the event by going to mcgovern.house.gov. If you have any questions, please call.
And the other was the pursuit plane. Boy, that was annoying to get that call in the middle of this video. But I didn't want to stop to do that at that point, especially since I couldn't find the darn phone. All right, number 11, rate. The rate at which the plane left the airfield was 240 miles per hour. The pursuit plane left the same airfield at 440 miles per hour. All right. The time, the first plane left at 9 p.m. The pursuit plane left at 11:30 p.m. So if we call the first plane X that left at 9 p.m., 2.5 hours later, from 9 to 11:30 is 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours later, so that means it traveled for less time. And that gives us X minus 2.5. Finally, the distance is the multiplication. 240x, 440x minus 1100. All right, just fit that. Okay, so we have one plane taking off from the airfield, and then 2.5 hours later, a second plane takes off and catches up. At what time did the pursuit plane overtake or catch up? This is the catch-up problem. They travel the same distance. The first plane 240x, the other plane 440x minus 1100. So therefore, when I set up my equation, 240x equals 440x minus 1100. So I'm going to subtract 440x. That gives me negative 200x equals negative 1100. And then I divide by negative 200. X comes out to 5.5. And it took, let's see, it took 5.5 hours to overtake, but X represents the time for the first plane, which was leaving at 9 a.m., and it's traveled for 5.5 hours. So that tells me if I add 5.5 hours to 9 a.m., 9 to 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and another half hour is 2 hours, 2:30. This was p.m. to a.m. That's what time the pursuit plane overtook the slower plane. Because it asked for what time, not how long. If it was just how long, it would be 5.5 hours. But it asked at what time. It was 2:30 a.m. All right, that was number 11. Our last example that I'm going to do out is number 14. Number 14 is a bit on the tricky side. We have a freighter. I'm going to just use F. And we have a speedboat, SB. Freighter and speedboat. The freighter goes 20 miles an hour. Miles an hour. Yes. the rate, and the speedboat is going to go 70. It says, ocean freighter left port at 8 a.m., traveling 20 miles an hour. At 10 a.m., which is 2 hours later, so freighter X minus 2 for the speedboat. At 10 a.m., the speedboat left the same port, traveling the same route at 70 miles an hour. As the speedboat caught and then passed the freighter, how long were they 5 miles or less from each other? So distance, now we don't use that 5 miles business, we just multiply, right? 20x, 70x minus 140. So here's the situation. The freighter is moving along. They leave at the same place. 20x is this one, right? And the speedboat is trying to catch up. So 70x minus 140. The distance from here to here before it catches up, when it's 5 miles an hour, miles from it, that's that first time. So this distance, so 20 minus the 70x minus 140 being 5. The second situation is still the 20x, right? And now the speedboat has passed, so this is 70x minus 140, has passed the freighter, but this distance between them is still, when this hits 5 past the freighter, is the other equation. And notice this time, the distance here, or the setup for the equation, this is the longer value. So this minus this equals 5. So 70x minus 140 minus the 20x equals 5. Or we could have done the, setting them equal to each other and saying this plus 5 equals 20x and this plus 5 equals the 70x minus 140. Same difference. Okay, let's solve these and get our final answer. When I solved this one, I forgot my x. 20x, sorry about that. Thank you for those who picked up on it. I know you would have called out if you were in class. 20x minus 70x plus 140 equals 5. Over here, 70 minus 20 is 50. X minus 140 equals 5. All right, so negative 50x. I'm going to subtract 140 from both sides. Equals negative 135. Oh, over here, I'm going to add 140. And you get 50x equals 145, not 135 that time. And then I'm going to divide by negative 50. So in this case, x equals 2.7. And then when I divide by 50 here, x equals 2.9. So at 2 7/10 hours, that's when it's 5 miles short of the freighter. And at 2 hours, 2.9 hours is 5 miles past. So that's 2/10 of an hour. 0.2 hours. Or even better, you can say 0.2 times 60, or 12 minutes. So either one of those would be an acceptable answer, either 2/10 of an hour or 12 minutes. And that's all for that one. I have one more worksheet I'm going to make a video for, and you'll have a total of 4 worksheets with word problems, 3 assigned this week and 1 next week. That way, if you have enough time to do all 4, you could do all 4 this week and not have to do them next academic week, which is a short week. Or if you get behind, make sure you get all caught up before the end. Have a great day.